John Harrison is a financial planner, author, and speaker. He mostly denies being either a Luddite or a technophobe, but he has noticed an apparently inverse relationship between the intelligence of personal tech devices and the intelligence of people who use them. He shares his observations in a speech entitled "Smartphones and Dumb People." So John Harrison, smartphones, dumb people.
I have seen the future, and it is dumb. Friends, Romans, countrymen, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, lend me your ears. I'm here to tell you today that the personal tech revolution has gone too far. Now, I've always cultivated something of a reputation as a Luddite, so this is an easy soapbox for me to jump on, but still it has to be said. You can see evidence of this every day. The other day I'm at a gas station, and as I'm preparing to prepay, I pay in good old-fashioned cash, leave my car at the pump, and I'm walking toward the door of the station's mini-mart so I can prepay the attendant. And as I approach it, a man approaches me holding a personal GPS device. And he says, "Excuse me, I'm looking for the Bedford Hotel, 140 Great Road, and my GPS says this is it." And he thrusts it out at me as if to prove that his GPS really does say this is it. And I assure him, no, this is a Shell station, and it's not the Bedford Hotel. And in fact, the sign over the door says 198 Great Road. So I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that 140 Great Road is a little ways down the street on the same side of the road. And he nods and thinks that seems pretty logical and begins to walk away. But he's only gone a few paces when he comes rushing back and says, "But it says it's right here." I pretty much did the only thing I could do at that point. I shrugged my shoulders and walked away. But as I was back at my car pumping my gas, I looked over again and saw a woman literally leading him by the arm back to the street and pointing this reluctant man in the way that he should go. He was stuck on what this GPS was telling him. I saw an article the other day, by way of further proof, that Google is investing in research in computer-controlled driverless cars using a combination of GPS technology, laser, sonar to detect other vehicles and pedestrians. Google figures they can build a car that frees people from the drudgery of commuting, and that they can build a car that will have faster reaction times and make better judgment calls than flesh and blood drivers would make. I can see it now. Hordes of helpless humans trapped in their cars when the computers crash or lock up and the people no longer know how to drive. If that sounds far-fetched, consider. There was a time when all transmissions were manual transmissions. Once the automatic was created, fewer people learned to drive a stick. Today, fewer than 30% of all drivers can drive a manual transmission. Talk about things like heel and toe, or throttle steering, or trail braking, or finding the perfect apex. Forget about it. No one knows how to do these things. We can't even parallel park, which is why so many high-end cars today actually will do that for you. Today we are so uninvolved with the mechanics of moving our cars that we need a host of electronic gadgets to do the things for us that we can no longer do. We need active cruise control because it will put the brakes on for us if we're approaching another car too fast. We need lane departure warnings that vibrate the steering wheel in case we drift out of our lane without using the turn signal. We need park distance control to tell you just how far you are from hitting that wall you're about to back into. We need electronic stability control because we don't know how to avoid going into a skid and we don't know how to get out of one if we're in one. Driverless cars, computer-controlled cars, people will not learn how to drive. I can see them now, frantically stuck in traffic, car immobile, texting automotive tech support, hoping for some sort of download they can get to get the car moving again. That's a major traffic jam. It's coming soon to a metropolitan area near you. More car issues. I saw a story of a woman who was in a parking lot. In her late teens, she was distraught outside her vehicle because the key fob that opened the door was no longer working. Maybe the battery had died, I don't know what it was, but she was there frantically pushing this thing and couldn't unlock the car and getting teary-eyed and upset, and a kind man came over to her and took it from her and turned it around to the actual key, which he then put in the drawer, and she was fine from that point forward. We're a little bit too dependent on our technology. Do you see the point I'm making here? Recently I read of a group of students from Brown University, a prestigious Ivy League school in Rhode Island, who had gone for a day hike in Franconia Notch in New Hampshire. And like many day hikers, they didn't have seasonally appropriate clothes, they didn't have food, they didn't have water, they didn't have really anything, but they did have the one piece of emergency equipment everyone thinks of. They had cell phones. So they wandered off the trail in Franconia Notch and promptly got lost. And time went by and night fell, and it was October, and it's cold at night in Franconia Notch in October. And after a night spent shivering wide-eyed in the darkness of the North Woods, and I can kind of see it, can't you? Here they are, can't see their hands in front of their face, and they're, Trevor, what was that noise? I don't know, Kim. I was kind of hoping it was you. This is bear country. This is moose country. This is mountain lion country. They were scared. But by the middle of the night, they used the cell phones. They called for help. The Ranger Service found them and is going to bill them for the rescue because it was such a silly rescue. But I have hope for them and for everyone like them, because I'm convinced as soon as they complete the computer-controlled driverless car, the good folks at Google will next get to work on self-actuating, computer-controlled hiking boots. Thank you.